Okay, hey guys, welcome back, and the net is fixed, and we have one hell of a mess going on back here, but that's because I'm in the middle of sorting it out for you guys. Get back into it. But I may be a little late to the party on this one, but thank you, net. But 10 Spectrum 10 fucking K. Hey guys, welcome back to the show, welcome back to the diary. So yes, there might be a little bit more swearing than I usually like on this channel in this video, but Spectrum 10K just really kind of pulls that absolute what the fuck, why kind of shitty response from me because of how nasty it is and what they're planning to do and what it means and how they're going about it. So for those of you who don't know or don't quite understand what's going on with this, Spectrum 10K is this new function that is currently on pause, and it's not really a function, it's a trying to find the right word, and my brain's just, they're like, meh. It's this test type or scientific test function, not function, why do I keep wanting to say function? It's basically scientific test that they're trying to run about autistic people and whether or not it can be picked up before birth, early times of the womb. Now, for those of you who don't quite know, lots of the time autism is caused or generated, not necessarily generated, but it is sort of caused by something that happens either in the womb to start with, before birth, or during the birth process. Me, for example, I had the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck twice, and because I had that like that, I was feet first ready to come out with my feet first. I was not properly positioned in the birth canal to come out as expected. So nurses tried to push me around, and as they did, my mum felt this sharp tugging, pulling kind of sensation from the inside, and it was really painful. So we wonder whether or not the placenta and the umbilical cord had got a little bit ruptured, disconnected, or whatever, to the point where I was then starved of oxygen, not only because of the umbilical cord going, I don't want to come out, the world's cruel, or whether it's because the placenta had come away a little bit, and I'm not then getting any of mum's nutrients and air at that point, because there is literally no air inside the womb, you're just connected to your mother. So that is what happened to me, and how I believe and my family believe that the autism happened with me. And it's quite common that things like that happen, and then autism becomes a thing, or disabilities, not necessarily just physical disabilities, but mental disabilities too, come that way, or happen that way. But Spectrum 10K, basically what scientists are saying is there's a special DNA platform, or a special DNA makeup, genetic makeup of autistic people. And they want to prove that by gathering the DNA of hundreds, if not thousands, of autistic people across the world, and then marketing it up to autistic people in such a way that it's like, yeah, okay, here you go, here's my DNA. And we don't understand what they're doing with it. We don't understand what's going to happen to that DNA, what they expect to find out, and what they expect to do with what they find out. And what they expect to do with what they find out is go to future mothers and test their baby's DNA and say, oh, your baby is going to have Down syndrome, or your baby's going to have autism. Would you like to terminate your baby because your baby has autism and therefore will not have a long, fulfilling life? Your baby will not be able to do anything with themselves because they have autism. There are thousands of autistic people out there that are currently doing great things. Temple Grandin, for example, out there in the US, coming from a doctor in the US that thinks that autism is just a child that's not been smacked enough. Literally, that's how some people in America think about autism. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But Spectrum 10K is this dangerous thing. I wouldn't mind so much if they were trying to prove that there is a DNA makeup, a genetic makeup for autism, because then that might make it easier to not only diagnose, because it's then no longer a thing of the brain, but also a genetic thing, because you can then say to autistic people, there is a possibility that your child is going to be autistic, and you can then set those autistic people on the platform, on the road they need and the track they need to in order to help their own child. But then, more often than not, an autistic person is going to know exactly inside out how to help their own child, because they have it themselves, while their child might have a different version or different set of problems and symptoms. I mean, there's a generalized section, or a generalized, common agreed set of general symptoms which are in autistic people, or in agreed to be common in autistic people, but they're not actually everyone. Not every autistic person is going to experience them all, any, or even just one of these. They could have all but one of the generalized symptoms of autism. But if we knew that there was this genetic kind of makeup for it, it might make it easier to spot early on and help early on, because the biggest thing and the biggest help at this point is getting that speech therapy if needed, getting all the therapy and all of the help in as early as possible. If you catch all this stuff before they go to primary school, you can avoid all of the bullying, you can avoid all of the awkward stuff. You can avoid your kid not getting invited to all the birthday parties because they're the weird kid. You can avoid all of that because we've proved that there's this possible genetic makeup that is meant that we can then say to the mother, say to the family, this child's going to be autistic, here's what you can do to help them. Here's the services that we have in your area that will help. This is the number that you need to contact for a speech therapist if you so need it. We don't quite think it's going to be quite that bad, but this is what we're offering you, is what 10K should be doing. But I don't think that's what they're going to do, considering they say, literally say, so that mothers can choose to terminate if they so wish. Now, with my personal beliefs, I don't think that that's very fair. I'm 50-50 on this. Now, coming from a somewhat Christian myself, you would have thought that my idea is no termination, no. But I don't like that kind of restriction on it, considering the whole, if you got pregnant by a way of not your choice, a way that was not your choice. So if you had been forced into the engagement of the activity that gets you pregnant, you shouldn't, as a woman, have to keep hold of that baby if you don't want to. That is my belief. If you're forced into the act of getting pregnant, you shouldn't then have to keep the child if you don't want to. So that's why I don't like that, because it's the whole, oh, your baby's sick, get rid of it. The way they're wording it leaves a woman no choice in it. Now, granted, I suppose the way I said it made that was a choice. And there probably is a choice, but just the fact that they're offering it up as a course of action at that point is no, it just proves the point that the government and the world thinks that autistic people are dumb, stupid, and can never look after themselves and never do anything for themselves, won't be able to bath, feed themselves, or even talk for themselves. Hello. I'm talking to you now. But no, you don't think I have autism. I just talk to you like this, maybe you think now? No. Because autism is not this whole, I'm going to sit in a wheelchair and dribble for the rest of my life. Yes, that is a form of autism, but that's the most severe form of autism you can get. Now, those guys are still pretty smart. If you learn how they communicate with you and communicate with them in that way, you will see how smart they actually are, because they really are highly smart. It's just the fact that they need that extra care, and it's that in which our time, our government, our universe is in at the moment. We don't want to give care to people like this. If we can avoid giving 24-hour care to the people who can't speak, who don't know what's going on, then we will do whatever we can to accomplish that. If we can avoid giving care to those people, then we will, is what the government is what most of the world's on. Most of the world's leaders are on that entire thought process right now. And you might not believe it or might not want to believe it, but just look at Spectrum 10K. Getting DNA from autistic people in order to look for this magical DNA process, genetic makeup that proves or that shows autism in somebody, so that they can offer pregnant women a termination of a possibly autistic child. I will explain one thing here. For those of you who also don't know or don't quite understand, autism is not necessarily genetic. Now, there is a bit of similarity in that, in the sense of, if you look at an autistic person and their parents, there's a possibility that their parents, the parents, have autism too, whether it's quite lightly in the sense of high functioning autism. And I know that that's not really a phrase that lots of people know, or lots of the autistic people understand. Well, not necessarily understand, because lots of autistic people do understand it, but it's not a trait lots of autistic people actually. It's not a phrase that lots of autistic people actually know, because it's not one used in the common kind of circle of autistic diagnosis and diagnosing, because it's all about the DSM-5 for autistic diagnosis, and DSM-5 is absolutely rubbish. I am glad to all hell that they are starting to scrap that diagnosis route, because DSM-5 is just absolute crap. DSM-5 looks at the mathematical brain, or the I'm going to sit in a wheelchair and dribble for the rest of my life. That is the two forms of autism according to DSM-5, and it wouldn't be called autistic spectrum disorder if it wasn't a big long trail or big balloon bubble of what the fuck. That is just basically how my brain feels a lot of the time. It's sometimes it's just this thought bubble with a load of different ones on it, but sometimes, especially with things like this, it's just this big maze of what the fuck. I'm actually doing really well on the swearing front on this one, because I really don't like swearing on this, because I want this to be as family friendly as possible so that parents can watch it with their kids or whatever. But I'm actually really glad about how calm I'm staying on this one, because I really hate it when scientists or people try and force their ideas or their plans for something really nasty like this on people, and it's what they're doing. I just feel like they're hiding this horrible thing of we want to limit the amount of autistic people in our world by offering mothers the opportunity to kill their unborn child because we found this DNA genetic makeup for autism. And it's just, I just hate it, really I do, because there are so many brilliant autistic people in this world who have just created a metric ton of amazing stuff and all sorts. I mean, I know necessarily that Notch, the creator of Minecraft, isn't autistic, but if you look at some of the stuff made in Minecraft, just think to yourself, how many of those guys are autistic? You might not be able to count because you might not know, but I bet a good percentage of the people that have made the most spectacular stuff are either somewhat autistic or are autistic completely, because I believe that Minecraft is the biggest tool, not just for anybody, kids, adults, neurotypical, non-neurotypical, or autistic, or learning disabled. It's the biggest and best tool for anybody to do anything with, particularly in the creative side, because it's just, do we like? That's the beauty of Sandbox, it's just, do we like? But no, Spectrum 10K is just a steaming pile of horse shit in my eyes, and I'm very happy it's been paused. Very, very happy it's been paused. I am very, very happy that the National Autistic Society have turned around and gone, I don't want anything to do with this. Because it's absolutely right. If this study is to go ahead, I think they need to re-evaluate what it is they're after, what it is they're looking for, and why. Because looking for a genetic makeup of autism to allow the ability to offer women a termination of their own baby is horrible. Looking for a genetic makeup for autism, I think, is wishful thinking. It really is wishful thinking. Because I've just reminded myself that I was actually in the middle of explaining what autism is. Sorry about that, guys. Let's go back to that. Rewind. So, autism, for those of you who don't quite get it, it's not really a genetic thing. I mean, yes, there is a possibility that if you look at a child and his parents, one or two of the parents might have autism too. But it is a neurological problem, which means it is a problem of the brain. So if you think about the brain like an electrical circuit, or the wires of a car, for example, or a vehicle. So you've got all these wires interconnecting and squirming away like worms. You plug one wire into one socket and it works when you plug it into the other one. In the autistic brain, if you unplug that plug and plug it in somewhere else, it's the wrong circuit, it's the wrong plug, or the wrong socket, but it will still work. Even if you swap those wires around, it doesn't look right. It's a mess, it's a jumble, but it works. There are parts of it where it's completely unplugged and it just don't work at all. Or the wires are broken and it's working, but it's sparking every so often, so it's not going through properly. That's the autistic brain, in a nutshell. Now, it's not the way that I've normally explained the autistic mind before. I've normally used a variation of Temple Grandin's explanation of it. She said how it was like an office and everyone's doing their job, and that's fine, that's great, but that's not, in my mind, an accurate description of the proper autistic brain, because to me it was too rigid, it was too ordered. Now that is a part of it, because a big, it's not one that I share, but it's a big symptom of autism, and it's routine and everything has to be in its place. Now, I do have that tiny little thing about certain OCD stuff and certain things. Mirroring is not really a big thing, even though I do have 2 cars like that. But it's, my brain's weird. If I can, then I will OCD over it. If it's not something that I can control or can manipulate into the OCD, then I'm just there like, go ahead, no matter how too tired, don't care. But I do have a thing about even numbers. If I have to have something in even numbers, I will. If not, then, like I said, I really don't care. I'm not going to sit there on my plate counting every single P just to make sure that I'm having an even number of P's. That is too time consuming, and I am too lazy for something like that. Far too lazy. So, yeah. So much rambling, it's always so much rambling, it's just autism in a nutshell can never stay on track. But no, Spectrum 10K, absolute rubbish. If you're autistic or you know someone who's autistic, please, 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 please do not give up your DNA without first doing some kind of research or having someone do the research for you if you don't understand it. Because the guys doing the work with Spectrum 10K, or at least the scientific study, are doing this on the sneak and are not giving you all of the details and making it easy for you to understand. So, do the research. Please don't give up your DNA without knowing what you're doing. It's the same thing for everything else in the world. You don't give out your postcode. You don't give out your proper date of birth, as in the full thing. And you don't give out your actual address to people you don't know. So don't give up your DNA either, because you don't know what you're doing. I mean, you don't know what you're getting yourself into, because you never know, they might keep hold of this DNA, I don't know, to make a cloning device. A bunch of autistic clones. Now that would be cool. Damn it. But no, they could be doing anything with this DNA. Now, they are being as upfront as they can be, because they have to be, about what they want to do with it. But we don't know what else they're going to do with it. Whether they're going to keep it and store it, use it for something else years later, or what. But I don't think that them taking DNA from current autistic people is fair, especially not in the way they're doing it at the minute, because it's sneaky and underhand, because they're not being completely upfront by it, in the sense of what they're going to do with it, how it's going to help, and whether they're going to keep it. but it's also the fact that they're doing this so that they can offer terminations to future women, and that is just absolutely disgusting. Please, if you understand why I think this is disgusting, please don't support this, and please don't give away your DNA to help this as and when they do resume. So think wisely, do the research, get someone to explain it for you. If I didn't manage to well enough, that's fine. Autistic brain doesn't always get to the right points at the right times, for the right reasons, with the right wordage. It's really difficult, and I hate writing things down. I am not a words person when it comes to my hands. Words person with my lips, not with my hands. But no, I'm going to leave it there, actually. But Nuke is currently asleep, and he will be joining me in future videos. We are definitely going to be doing some more videos on different things. Now, it's a quick thing about where my channel's going at the minute. Now, with year 1, that was absolutely amazing, guys. Thank you for coming along with me on that journey of, I want to do this so I can prove I can do it. I did it. We did it. With only, 4 days? 4 days missed. That was pretty good. So, yeah, year 1 was an absolute enjoyment. Having to slightly kick off year 2 with a bit of difference. I mean, year 2 kind of got interrupted halfway through. So this is the brand new year 2, day 1 sort of style. I do not know at the moment what days my videos are going to be coming up, because obviously I've got to work around Nuke if he's joining his work schedule. I've got to work around my own mental health on my days. My depression is kicking me in the arse every so often, which is one reason why before the net crapped out I wasn't putting up so many. It wasn't just writer's block, although I say writer's block, I mean vlogger's block. Vlogger's block for me normally comes when my depression comes. So if I'm feeling a bit crappy, a bit low, then yeah, my vlogger's block and my ideas just, I'm just like, oh well, I could do this. Yeah, but what about all the repercussions? Yeah, but what about those nasty assholes on the internet that just don't understand, and I don't give enough information to make them understand? They're all like, it's not helpful to try and make a video with my mind like that, because I'm then trying to get it to work and my mind's just there like, nah, la, 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 la. And I'm like, oh, can you stop? And my brain's just like, no, not going to stop, just la 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 la. Those of you who have gone through that will understand exactly what I'm talking about, and trying to make my brain work at this point when it's being all stubborn like that is just not worth going through, because it's tiring and stressful. It makes me more angry and just means that I literally cannot come up with any kind of close enough idea to what I want at all. But no, the channel, like I said, I don't know when my videos will be coming up. I will sort myself out with a attempted schedule, and possibly 2 to 3 days a week. That is for sure. 2 to 3 days a week for sure. But which days, I'm not entirely sure yet. We will work that out and we will sort that out. In terms of what videos are coming up, what subjects, I'm going to stick to the autistic stuff because you guys seem to find that interesting. I'm going to stick to the healthy relationships and female stuff because you guys really responded really well to that one. High amounts of views and high amounts of comments on that one, on that subject, so that's great. Some of the Harry Potter stuff's going to come in, some of the some of the special interests will come into all of that as well. But me and Nuke are going to be doing a new series together. So he's not going to be in every video, but he's going to be in like a few of them. A new series entitled Boys vs Girls. Now this isn't going to be a set of challenges to find out which gender's better, the boys or the girls, because the girls are just awesome. No. It's going to be all about autism, mental health, and everything. Everything like that. It's going to be how it affects people, how it affects both genders differently. We're going to pick like scenarios, so say like shopping or I don't know, relationships. How difficult is it to make friendships, relationships for an autistic man, autistic female, or autistic woman? We're going to be going through stuff like that, so it's going to be highly interesting and highly fun to do with my partner. So it is going to be absolutely amazing, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm rubbing my eyes because my eyes are getting tired and all I'm seeing is clouds. I am seeing clouds. But now I'm going to leave it there before Nuke wakes up and spoils the video too much. But no, that's it for me today, guys. Spectrum 10K, go away. Remember, don't give up your DNA without doing any kind of research, and don't give up your DNA if you don't agree with what they're doing and the fact that they're offering up terminations to future women, future pregnant women with this study, if and when it resumes. I am happy to God that it is on pause. No, that's it for me today, guys. See you next time. See ya. Put a little bit of shit, put a little bit of shit, put a little bit of shit, get a little bit of gasoline. Welcome to another crime scene. Get a little bit of gasoline. Welcome to another